So my assistant barber's son, Jason, is getting married, and she's giving the rehearsal dinner. Well, she was having a complete meltdown. So I said, okay, deep breath. We're gonna do this together. You're gonna go out and buy some really wonderful things in town that you can serve as a buffet, and you and I are gonna make some delicious things to go with it. So first, I'm making tarragon potato salad, and she's out shopping. So first, I'm just gonna test them and make sure they're really done. And I just use a cake tester, a skewer. Okay, no resistance, exactly right. I'm gonna drain them. I'll show you what I do. I have a little secret about this. So this is 2 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes. I boil these for about 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the size of the potatoes. And what I'm gonna do is I drain them and then take a nice clean kitchen towel, gotta be clean, and put it right over the top, and just let them steam for about 10 minutes, and the steam gets in the potatoes and they end up perfectly cooked. So in the meantime, I'm gonna make the dressing. Most potato salads are so boring. They're like potatoes and mayonnaise with maybe a little salt if you're lucky. I just think they can be really flavorful. I add lots of fresh herbs like tarragon and dill. I start with 1 cup of mayonnaise. You don't have to make your own. 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I like a little bit of acid in things like this. It just gives it an edge that really gives it lots of flavor. This is a small lemon, so it should be perfect. 2 tablespoons of tarragon vinegar. If you don't have tarragon vinegar, any good white wine vinegar is fine. Don't go out and buy a whole bottle of tarragon vinegar for 2 tablespoons. 2 teaspoons of salt. Remember, this is the dressing, and potatoes are fairly bland, so you want them to have lots of flavor. 1 teaspoon of pepper, and just give it a whisk together. And then I'm gonna add tarragon, fresh dill, red onion, scallions. It's gonna have really good flavor. So these potatoes are just cool enough to handle. I actually love to put the dressing on a potato salad while the potatoes are still warm because it really absorbs better. 2 pounds of potatoes. All done. Okay, into a bowl. And remember, you want to do this while they're still a little bit warm. This isn't the time to go answer the phone. Okay, enough dressing just to moisten it. Give it a big stir. And see, when you toss it, it breaks up a little bit. So you don't want to make them too small to start with. Okay, next, 3 tablespoons of chopped scallions, just right into the salad. 3 tablespoons of minced onions. And then some fresh herbs to give it a really fresh flavor. So I'm going to use dill and tarragon, 2 tablespoons of each one. Just give the dill a nice rough chop. I love the smell of it. Okay, 2 tablespoons of fresh tarragon. And then I'm going to put the rest of the dressing in. I think it really needs it. It's kind of my habit to put half the dressing in and then half later when I'm done. You just never know how much it's going to absorb, and I hate when it's just soggy. So give it a nice stir. The nice thing about this potato salad is it has to sit for about 30 minutes. All the flavors meld together. They get into the potatoes. So I'm just going to let this sit here, and then Barbara and I are going to have a tasting. See if it's good. So I boiled 2 pounds of potatoes. I like to mix the white and the red potatoes. And what I'm going to do is just slice these really thickly. These are almost done. And then what I'm going to do while it's still warm, this gives it so much flavor, is about 2 tablespoons, but a nice splash of white wine. You can use leftover wine from dinner last night. And a splash of chicken stock. And while the potatoes are still warm, it really gets into the potatoes. Big spoon, just toss it all together. Some salt and pepper. You want the potatoes just to have as much flavor as possible before you start. So that's the potatoes, and the next thing I'm going to make is the vinaigrette. So the key ingredients for a good vinaigrette are good vinegar and good olive oil. I'm going to do, this is champagne vinegar, but if you have good cider vinegar or white wine vinegar, it's great. I just wouldn't use red wine vinegar for this. And then I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. And salt and pepper. For some reason, I think Americans are really sort of daunted by vinaigrette. It's the easiest thing in the world and so much better than that bottled stuff you get. And then slowly pour good olive oil into this. And you make an emulsion. The mustard seems to emulsify the vinaigrette so it stays together. Kind of like making a mayonnaise. Just do the olive oil slowly. Great. So this is just going to go on the potatoes, just to flavor them, and that's all going to soak into those warm potatoes, and the rest I'm going to save for later. And now the last thing is lots of fresh herbs, and that's what gives the potatoes such a fresh flavor. So we have chopped scallions. Chop them already, give them another rough cut. I really like when they're roughly cut. I don't like them to be so precision-like that you don't actually see what it is. It just gives you a sense that there are scallions in it. Look how gorgeous this looks. And fresh basil, just take the leaves off. And you can either do this with a rough chop or you can do it julienne, but I think I'm just going to do it roughly chopped. Okay, lots of fresh basil. And then fresh dill. It's a great way to take leaves off the dill. Is just run your knife along the, and takes all those leaves off without pulling them off one by one. And then the longer this soaks in the fridge and the longer it sits, the better it tastes. So, potatoes are really tender, but they're still firm enough so they have flavor. You could use a little more salt. That's my motto, it always needs more salt. A little more pepper, bring out the flavors, and it's going to be just delicious. Now I'm going to do chicken salad sandwiches with a secret ingredient, tarragon from my garden. It's a really good herb, sort of like anise flavor a little bit, and subtle, but I think it'll make all the difference. Chicken salad sandwiches. So the first thing you need is celery. It's really traditional with chicken salad. It's got a nice flavor, a nice crunch. I need about a cup of celery. About 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise. I'm just gonna put it all in a bowl and then toss it later. Okay, what do we need next? Chicken. I think it should be cool enough to handle. It's actually great to do the chicken when it's still a little warm, because then it really absorbs the sauce. So it's chicken breast on the bone. Just gonna take the skin off. So much moisture when it's done this way. At Barefoot, we used to have big vats of boiling water and poach the chicken breast, and it was just impossible. And then all the flavor gets into the water. This way, all the flavors really stays in it when you roast it. It makes such a difference. And then I just do nice bite-sized chunks. Okay, I'm just gonna stir it all together. Give it lots of seasoning, salt, pepper. It's ordinary ingredients, simple ingredients, but delicious chicken salad. Now I'm just gonna put in 2 teaspoons of salt. This all depends on how big the chicken breasts are. 1 teaspoon of pepper. Okay, time to make the sandwiches. So I'm gonna add tarragon to the chicken salad, which is really subtle, but it's very good with chicken. It doesn't overpower it. Something like rosemary would really overpower it. So just take the leaves off, give it a rough chop. Okay, right into the chicken salad. Okay, a little mesclun, a little crunch. Put the tops on, cut them in half. If you're looking for a totally delicious and versatile Tex-Mex salad, I've got just the thing. It's Fiesta corn and avocado salad. I'm gonna start with the corn. So let me tell you how I do this. First, I cut off the bottom of the corn so it'll stand up straight, and then I run my knife between the kernels and the husk, just straight down, and they all just come off. I cook this in salted boiling water for about 5 to 7 minutes. Really depends on how tender the kernels are. So this is my system for cutting corn. Instead of having it bounce all over the kitchen, I get a sheet pan and a clean kitchen towel, and I just cut the kernels right onto the kitchen towel, just like this. So that's 3 ears of corn, and then pick up the kitchen towel and just put all the kernels right into the bowl. That works, right? Okay, the next I need cherry tomatoes. I've got 1 pint of cherry tomatoes. I use heirloom tomatoes because they look great. Cut in half through the stem. And then half a cup of red onion. Tex-Mex needs onion, right? And I've got one Holland pepper, and I'm gonna show you how I cut it so that you have perfect little dice. Just cut it right down the sides, like that, and you get flat pieces that you can dice really easily. I know there's some left over, but you can snack on it. So I'm just gonna dice this in like half-inch dice. You can use orange pepper, red pepper, yellow pepper, or all three if you want a real Fiesta. Somehow I think you should make this salad when corn is in season. You could use frozen corn, but it really never tastes the same. I sometimes serve this as a first course like a salad, but it's a great side dish, or it's gorgeous on a buffet. Next is 2 jalapeno peppers. What I did was I seeded them, took those ribs out, and minced them really finely. Gives it a lot of heat. It's great. Makes it very Tex-Mex. Okay, next is a lime vinaigrette, which is gonna really wake up all these sort of Tex-Mex flavors. I'm starting with 1/4 cup of freshly squeezed lime juice. I need 2 tablespoons of olive oil. 1½ teaspoons of lime zest. That's got a lot of flavor in it. Little garlic, just 1 teaspoon, minced garlic. And because it's Tex-Mex, 1/4 teaspoon of chipotle chili powder, which is chili powder, but it's got a little smokiness in it. 1 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And I'm just gonna whisk it all together. I love these little whisks. I love making vinaigrette in a measuring cup. You can measure it and whisk at the same time. Okay, I'm gonna pour this over the salad. It's gonna really be delicious. Think of all the flavors in this. Give it a big stir. Just make sure it's really well combined. It does look like a Fiesta, doesn't it? It's gonna be beautiful. And I have one more thing to add, avocado. What I did was I diced 2 avocados and I tossed them with lemon juice just to keep them from turning brown. And I added at the end because I don't want it to get too mushed up. I want to see the diced avocado. Okay, a little more salt and pepper. Make sure it's really well seasoned, because it is, after all, Tex-Mex. I'm just gonna taste it just to make sure it's good. It's great. Got great heat, but it's also sweet from the corn and the tomatoes. Okay, now I'm gonna put it in a serving bowl. And while I do that, let me show you some ways that I love to serve the salad. So I use it in my roasted salmon tacos instead of guacamole for a real change. It's great on the side with slow roasted spiced pork or tequila lime chicken. It's wonderful on a food table, and it's always the first to go. But this is the way I usually serve it. Put it in the middle of the table for a first course, and everybody just helps themselves. And now you know why I call it a Fiesta corn salad. It just looks like a Fiesta. Yeah. Tarragon shrimp salad, such a great summer lunch. It's really quite elegant. You can also pack it up for a picnic. Sounds great, doesn't it? So I've cooked 2 pounds of shrimp. And what I'm doing is I've left some of them whole, and some of them I'm cutting in half horizontally. I don't know why, but I just like the texture of some big ones and some smaller ones. And while I cut these, I'm going to show you the method I use for cooking them. It comes from my friend Joanne Colleen at Al Forno Restaurant, and they come out perfectly every time. I put 2 pounds of peeled and deveined 16 to 20 count shrimp in a saucepan. Poured in 8 cups of cold water, and it must be cold water. Added 3 tablespoons of Pernod, the French anise-flavored aperitif. 1 tablespoon of salt. Turn the heat on and cook the shrimp uncovered, stirring them occasionally for 10 minutes until they were just firm and pink. Then I drained them and allowed them to cool for 15 minutes. Trust me, that makes the tenderest, most delicious shrimp. And that little bit of Pernod really makes a difference. Okay, I'm gonna combine the two, the large shrimp and the shrimp cut in half. Then I'm gonna add some lemon, because all shrimp salad needs lemon juice. Just a couple of tablespoons right in. Lots of salt and pepper. And just give it a big stir. Okay, next the vegetables. So I need a cup of celery right into the bowl. Just some scallions right in. I've got fresh tarragon. Tarragon is a great flavor for shrimp. This is like a one-bowl wonder. Next, I need 2/3 of a cup of mayonnaise. That should be about right. And just mix the whole thing together. This is such a great salad. So I'm just gonna give it a toss, make sure everything's really well distributed. And you can certainly put this in a bowl, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm gonna show you how I like to serve this. It looks really gorgeous. So I've got baby bib lettuce that I've cut the leaves apart, and they make really nice cups for the salad. So I'll show you what I do. So I got a big platter. I'm gonna fill it with these leaves of bib lettuce. It's really important to wash them and spin them dry so they're really dry. But then I'm gonna fill these little cups with shrimp salad. So much prettier than just a bowl of shrimp. Just a big spoonful of shrimp in each leaf, and then everyone can help themselves. Okay, just fill each one. This makes a great summer lunch. Looks so pretty. I love the green lettuce. Sort of sets off the salad really well. Okay. And then I always like to garnish things with what's in it, so you know the flavors. So maybe just a little bit of lemon. If somebody wants a little more lemon, it's right there. A little bit of tarragon, just a rough chop. Right on top. A little bit of salt at the end. So that's shrimp and tarragon salad. It's so good.